Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to do a game review on a game called Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. There are three Castles of Burgundy games thus far. The first is the original game, which had each player taking a duchy, a kingdom of sorts, and rolling dice, just a couple, in order to gradually build up your duchy by filling in certain areas, pastures and rivers and certain features. It was an interesting game. It was one of Stefan Feld, the designer's, one of his premier games, in fact. It's been very highly regarded. It was a game all about netting points through a variety of conditions, bonuses, like I said, filling out your duchy to open up opportunities for other activities like shipping goods or dealing with the black market, etc. That was the original. After that, we had Castles of Burgundy, the card game, which took a somewhat orthogonal direction to the game. It still it kind of rewound the game in ways that kept the flavor of Castles of Burgundy, but with kind of a whole different paradigm of sorts. Also an intriguing one that I enjoyed. It surprisingly had almost the same spatial table requirements as the original game itself. I'm only exaggerating slightly. And now we have the Castles of Burgundy dice game. This one is much, much more compact. And so, is it any good or is it too small for its britches? Let's find out. Okay, so let's take a peek at what's inside the box. This should be the shortest components review ever. A rule book, a pad of sheets to give to each player that has the duchy and various information pieces during play, 5 dice, 5 pencils. That's it. That's all that it is. How could a game possibly come from such a small and humble beginning? Well, let's do a gameplay review and see. Okay, so before we begin, let's go over the actual sheets of paper that each player will receive so that they can fill out their duchy and earn victory points. Now, this looks like a very busy sheet. There's a lot of icons, there's a lot of things going on initially, especially for a roll and mark kind of game. The beauty of this is that once you are done, this whole manual, which gives you all the information, but once you understand the rules, you never really have to refer to it. Everything that you could need to know about what you need to do is all accompanied by these areas and portions and victory point stuff. Just to give you an example, this is your main area. This is where you start, and whenever you roll the dice, this is where you're going to be filling out and marking spaces as having been completed or checked off or grown or built or however you want to describe it. This is the important one. This is the meat here. This is all about what you do. Over here are bonuses, and as you do and fill out sections here, you will be circling bonuses here. Every turn you can take one and only one of these bonuses and apply them to your turn. That's it. That's all they do. And the beautiful thing is that each one of these special bonus areas kind of gives you a cheat on exactly what it takes for you to be able to fill out these areas. It gives you a nice little index, which you'll learn. And the symbols will make more sense as you play. It'll become second nature. These are how you actually describe the bonuses themselves. When you there's accruing bonuses. For example, filling out all the orange parts here. You fill out this whole region. Not only do you get points, but you also get to turn, circle an area so that you can use that special bonus later. What is that special bonus? Well, you just look down here. I'm like, oh, that special bonus is that every once in a while I can make that die, a die that I roll, be whatever I want to do. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, what does blue let me do? Well, when a certain dice comes up over here, when we're doing the timeline to figure out how many turns it'll take, you can trade each of your goods, of your shipped goods, in for an extra mining circle here and 2 extra victory points for each blue one you cross off. Never a reason not to use these, actually. When you use this special bonus, you get to take 2, you can apply the results of a die roll twice, and that, but without using the same ones. I'll explain that in very clear detail there. And finally, the purple bonuses just simply say, okay, instead of taking the die with a number and making it whatever I want, I can take the die with the color and make it whatever color I want. And that's pretty cool. Workers, yeah, workers we already got on there. And then of course these pastures, which are double points. So if you were going to earn 2 points for them, you earn 3. Now when you fill out an area here, say this pasture, for example, when you've completed it, not only do you get the special bonus, you also get whatever victory points match up with whatever era 1, era 2, era 3. So you'll notice that the faster you can complete these sections, the more victory points they're worth based on the number of hexes that you filled out completely. For example, when you fill out this 4 orange region here, and if it was within this turn here, you would get 13 points. Not a trivial amount. Finally, if you're a player who fills all of the orange out, all of them, you're just going to get 6 victory points right off the bat for filling every single one out through the game. And that's it. It's like I said, it may sound a little more complex by description, but once you get rolling, hardy har har, you're going to find that everything you need to know about what to do is on this piece of paper. And with that, we'll do some sample turns. We're back in business, and we're going to start. Now, how does this work? Well, we roll the dice. Ooh, dice roll, dice roll. Whee! And look what we got. Oh, look at that. We have at our disposal yellow, blue, 2 6s, and this blue die marker. Now this die marker here, this die marker here is for the timeline. This kind of determines how many rounds you're going to go. It could last 5 to 10 rounds, ultimately. This says mark 2 spaces off here. It also says, because it's blue, that if anybody had any trade goods, they're able to sell those now and get a bonus. That's pretty cool. All right. Now with that done, each player gets to decide how which of these actions they're going to take. Oh, first off, whenever you start the game, you get to pick one of these 4 castles, and you get to apply them. So I'm going to actually do this, and I'm going to do this one here, and so that gives me the ability to use a purple action or special event whenever I want. If I manage to grab any of these castles, then I'm gonna get the special bonus that matches up to it. So all right, we're done with there. Now we have a 6 blue. We look around, we go, okay, is there anything blue? There's a blue here. If I get a 5 or a 6 and I take a blue and add a 5 or a 6 die, then that means I could fill out this box here, and I'm going to do that. I'm just going to mark 6 to know if it was a 6, and look at that. How cool is that? And that's it, because I haven't filled out an area yet, and I'm not going to use any special bonuses yet. I could... no, I can't. I've done it. Alright, so that's it. That's as simple as it gets. Now we're going to roll again, and we're going to have... Look at that. Once again, we have double boxes. We're going through this era real fast. I have a 2 and a 5, and I have a blue and a yellow. Now, is there any yellow nearby? Because you have to be adjacent, so you can't just go wherever you want. You have to pick some place that's already around your developed portion of your duchy. In this case, I do have a pasture here. So if I did and the key to pastures is that every dice in them has to be the same. So in this one, I would have to have, if I mark this down as a 3, pasture 3, then this also has to be a 3. They have to be the same. That's the rule for how you fill in that. So I'm going to go ahead and because this is over here, I'm going to do, it doesn't matter because it's just a one-hit wonder. I have completed that. What do I get? Well, I get double points. What is the amount of points I get? 1. Okay, well, I get 2 points then. So I mark it and say I've got 2 points. And that's it. Now we're on to the next one. And we've got gray, 1, 6, 6, orange. All right, so how are we going to contend with that there? Well, that's interesting. We're going to mark 1. There you go. And now I have a gray, and I have an orange, and a 6. Now in this case, this is the opposite of pastures. For the orange parts, they all have to be different numbers. So I theoretically could do anything here, like a orange 6 here will work, since it has to be around something I've already built. Gray, there's nothing around here that's gray. Nothing. And if you ever get in a position where you don't have anything that you can do, you are allowed to circle a worker. If I wanted, and I'm not going to do that right now, because I could change colors. I could use my purple special power, and I could change colors and make that a blue. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to mark this purple off. I'm going to pretend that this is blue 6, and guess what? A blue 5 or 6 lets me put something here. Look, I've now completed that. What do I get? Well, I get to circle a good. Goodness gracious. All right, I've also filled out 2, so I get 4 more victory points. And we're rolling. Look at that. Special powers. Special powers. All right, let's do a couple more turns here. We got a 5, a 3, 2 grays. Man. And 1. So we're down to 1 again. Okay. So what can we do with gray? Well, we have gray here now. It does require a 3 or a 4 to be able to use. Fortunately, we have a 3, so we're going to use the gray 3. Just going to mark that there, and I'm going to no, got to fill it out before I can get the circle. All right, well, that's that. Okay, we have a 1 and a 6. We're going to go up 1, and now we have a gray or a green. Gray or green. So, one there. All right, gray or green. A gray 6. Darn it. We don't have quite a special ability that we can use, so we do have green. The thing about green is that it has to be a number that is somewhere else adjacent to it. As for gray, darn it, I really wish I could do something. So I'm going to use the green, and I'm going to fill that out because it has to have it has to have a number adjacent to it. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. Yep. So, all right. So gray and... Oh, wait. No, we can't because we don't have green 6, but there's nothing. The only thing adjacent to it is 3. So we're just going to mark this as a no op, and that at least gives me that to go on for next time. So, all right, and finally, wow, we're not getting a lot of shipping options here. Gray again. Gray 2, gray 3. Well, fortunately, gray 3 has worked. We'll mark that again. Gray 3. Look, I filled that out. Now I can circle that. That lets me take a double turn later, and 2, 4, so another 4 points. All right. And let's keep going. And wow, look at this. We are, holy smokes. All right, so we're not getting a lot of shipping die here. But we have green 5 or green 6. Now I could do green 6. Nope. Nope, still can't. But we can use a worker and pretend that that's a 3. Now I have a green 3, which will match this. So that lets me have this. And now I can circle that. All right, look at that. And I filled that out. And oh, sorry. This is what I fill out. I can't remember to do that. Pretend that's not there. Now we're going to do the last roll of this particular era. We don't overshoot. Look at that. We are just not getting shipping. All right, finally. We do one. We're done with this era. And now we decide, do we have the blue or do we have the gray? We have a blue. We can actually expand here. Blue 5. Yep, we can do that. We're going to do blue 5 right there. And that is the end of the first phase. Now in the second phase, obviously, we're going to get less victory points for completing regions, but we still could get some. Plus, you know, I haven't done any job yet to fill in the whole area where I can count on, like, for example, getting rid of, like, filling out all four of the silver mines would give me 3 points just flat out if I was the first one to do it. Second player gets the second one, but that's how it goes. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 points in the first round, and then you play it 3 times, and whoever has the most victory points is the winner. Okay, final thoughts on the Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Does it belong in the trifecta of Burgundy goodness, or is it an outlier that deserves to be shunned and sent off into the desert? Well, that's a little dramatic. First off, let's go through kind of the things that I think people should be aware of that might not be positive. One is that it is not the full-fledged Castles of Burgundy, so don't expect it. I don't think anybody does, but it's definitely not, the full-fledged game. On the other hand, it's also not built like a simple gateway, typical roll your dice, mark things off on a sheet of paper. It is not that linear of an experience as well. It's not a gateway game that, in my opinion, I would bring and say, hey guys, let's stop the barbecue and beach volleyball and play a fun light filler. This does not qualify to me as a fun light filler. Doesn't mean it's not fun, but it isn't a fun light filler that you could just introduce people to. So in other words, it can be deceptively thinky, which can also be a positive, and is, but it's also important to be careful of the audience. People who have become accustomed to the style of game, a typical style of paper roll and move game, are not going to be easily transitioned into this game as if it was simply another variant on roll the dice and mark off boxes. So those are the cons, which aren't really direct cons, or they are caveats per se. So what is it? I mean, for me, I don't actually like very many pencil games. Like Yahtzee was fun, when I was 6 or 7 or 8, and I understand the draw of it. But these aren't the type of game. I mean, there are games that are really good games that are just not my style. I'm not big on them. Roll Through the Ages, for example, great premier game, and many others that are great roll and move games. It just didn't resonate with me. I ended up selling it off. The Catan dice game, totally underwhelming. Definitely not worth my time in that regard. I mean, probably the problem is that while they're trying to simplify what is usually a large, more complex game, sometimes when they're simplifying, they're basically taking a scalpel to too many of the interesting parts of the game and leaving behind kind of a numbing down experience. This is just kind of a shadow of the original that leaves me wanton. It's sort of the similar phenomenon to 4X Civ games, where I'll have, hey, play a civilization building game in under an hour. Almost always I end those games going, man, I feel like playing a real Civ game now. No offense to the simplified version, it's just, I feel like all it does is sort of like make for an on-ramp into what I really want to play, which is a really awesome Civ game, if only I had the time. So then why did I buy this? And that's a good question. Because it was $4. Simple answer, but it's true. It was on sale for $4, and I'm like, for $4, the worst that happens is I repackage it and give it to a friend and look cool. Part of the reason why roll and move games don't work for me is that oftentimes they simply don't hide the fundamental aspect that all you're doing is accumulating and triggering. By that I mean, you roll the dice, and at their mercy you accumulate boxes that you fill in until some sort of trigger point occurs that creates something, be it victory points or some special bonus to say. Most of them are not masked well enough that I don't see through it and go, okay. Okay, so getting into the positives of the game, I think it's a tribute to the design philosophy that made this happen, that they were able to streamline play significantly without significantly reducing the meatiness of the game to a degree that it felt watered down. I don't think they simplified it so much as in many places they condensed and contoured the dice game to give the same Castles of Burgundy-like experience in a much more succinct playtime and package, and did it well. Successfully did that without over-scalpeling. Most Castles of Burgundy features of the original game have some sort of analog equivalent here that's maybe shorter, more compact, or a little bit, abbreviated, but it works. It still works. Even this small, tiny, tiny, you just think like little tiny, but it works. And part of it's the choices are meaningful and plentiful even in this style of game. Even here, you are not simply feeling like I check off boxes, oh, I triggered something. No, it's like I have these decision points all around me, decision paths to make, and I'm going to make any one of these many decisions that's going to steer me in some way that I hope gives me the optimal path to victory. It really works. I mean, at the end of the game, if I describe this to you, I would still say the same thing. You're still accumulating until something triggers. You're filling out boxes until a certain region of your duchy is filled, or using a special power, whatever. But it works so well. It masks it so well by making it feel like Castles of Burgundy to me. It does this with the special powers, because you're triggering special powers and stuff, and you're still going through all of the same machinations of the game, of the original game, and doing so in a way that really feels like you're playing a miniaturized version of Castles of Burgundy. And I like that. I like that they really did it. In fact, I think this does a better job of emulating that than the card game, which is great in its own right, but this does an even better job. Plus, it actually fits in, I could fit this in my beard, which is a nice big plus when I'm on the go. So, oftentimes to me, a roll and paper dice rolling, paper marking off kind of games feel kind of like a pachinko game where you've only got 4 nails and you drop your little ball and it goes bounce, bounce, bounce. It means like you're just not left with that many channels of interesting things to do. It's great, like, yay, Yahtzee, full house, ching, 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 4 nails, boing, boing, boing. Whereas this game opens it up. It feels like a full pachinko thing. Like, here we go, roll the dice, ding, 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 pachinko things flying all over the place, because you've got so many ways and so many vectors to be able to do something interesting, and it fits well. So definite thumbs up on Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. In the right audience, or with people that really are willing to go, hey, this is thinky enough that it's not going to be a fanciful, fun, light fare. It's fanciful, fun, meaty fare. So, on that, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Harebrained Games, and we will see you next time.